Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Mechanical Anime Reviews podcast. It's been a while since I've said that. December and the beginning of January were busy for a lot of reasons that I've discussed elsewhere, and I don't really discuss them there, but I hope this episode hasn't been too long in the making, or just in the planning. If it has been, that's okay. Everyone, blog or podcast, you start up again somehow. So here we are with episode 11. It's finally time to discuss the mecha series that came out last season. For this portion, I'm going to go from the worst mecha series to the best, because that way at least we end on a fantastic note. I do think the worst one isn't the worst thing ever, but is a stark difference from the weakest to the strongest series that aired. The first one up is Sakugan. So let's talk about Sakugan. So this was produced by Studio Satellite, and to me, this is the weakest mecha show of the season, possibly the year too. I saw that despite how generally visually spectacular the mecha, character designs, and monster design are, it is a very well produced show, but it's lacking a lot of things. Based on the first episode, the series was creating an experience that is a father's and daughter's journey to a very specific location for treasure, and that's about it. That's all we needed. It would be, based on the first episode alone, a good adventure series, like Made in Abyss, but a lot more child-friendly, and a journey about a father and daughter discovering their relationship again, with mecha and fighting monsters too along the way. So that's just Mimempu and Gagumber. That's the way it would be. But the series decided not to do that a few episodes later. It just threw in a lot of ideas, and I mean a lot of ideas. Different cities, different characters, different ideas. Some episodes had them all thrown together in the same one, and it's just like, why is this here if there's no emotional weight to it? It never felt like Sakugan had a central idea until the end, where it needed to at least conclude on something, which it did on an emotional beat, and not a plot beat at all. So, and just, we don't know if the sequel season will happen or not. There's just a bit of a mess of an experience, and not the best way. There's a constant back and forth of Gagumber being a good father and then not. That's just irritating, and I just wonder why they keep doing that. In the end, nothing mattered in the story. They never met their goal because some random girl science got in the way again. You don't have to watch it, just to do it. There's no conclusive ending, and a teaser for season 2 that we're uncertain about because it said not. So, if that season happens, I'm not watching it. On a better note, let's talk about AMAIM. So here we are, AMAIM, Warrior at the Borderline. Produced by the newly formed Sunrise Beyond, this is their first original IP mecha project. Speaking of first, this is also the first core out of 2, so this is a split core series. But still, this is the first part, and I think there's a lot worth digging into anyway. So, this takes place in the future where Japan is suddenly, by different empires, invaded. That's being like the United States, or different European countries, and different Asian forces, all one apiece. So it's kind of like a combination of, if you want to, Code Geass and Gundam 00 at the same time. So, general conceit of the story is pretty right-wing Japanese politics. I mean, we could talk about birth rates and other things, and countries trying to preserve the Japanese race and other reasons. It's just crazy, but the way the story goes about it is way too simplistic to have any real value in it at all. The Japanese are just pure lambs, while everyone else is just a troublemaker. That's just the way the story went. It's just not really selling any of that right wing as much as they want to. But until the end of the story, where other characters from different nations started to show more character, that was kind of the general idea. The story focused on Amo, who's a rather simple protagonist. He's a mechanical nerd that finds an AI in the middle of a jungle after a salvage run while he's working on a mecha that he found. So, the usual stuff. Eventually, after causing some trouble all around Japan with different countries, he finds resistance movement and joins 2 other pilots, Gashin Tezuka and Shion, who have their own AMAIMs. So the anime kind of takes some shortcuts to create its world, but in the end, I feel like all the efforts are kind of worth it. AMAIM does have a pretty developed world for all the ideas they put out. Out of all the characters, Amo feels like the least interesting one, but he's a decent one overall, and he has a decent arc. Like, Gashin is the most relatable character. He feels like the most developed too, because the show kind of likes him more than Mo, I think. And he should be the main character, but that's okay, because Mo could have it. Uh, Shion is still an underutilized character, but she has a background of Japanese pottery that is interesting, and is the smartest one with a lot of great skill, but also the most emotional too, but I guess that's just a girl thing that anime likes doing for some reason, which is annoying. I like the story about the stray ghost mecha. It was pretty unique compared to the rest of Pseudo Gundam story and stuff that was happening. Not a lot of Gundam series really do that at all, so having a stray AI for its own reason was pretty cool. It created a lot of questions about technological growth and AI even further, and has created some excellent mecha fights too. Like, there's some dazzling good mecha fights that comes out of it. So that leads to mecha fights in general. They're just really wonderful lots, very well directed, and actual 2D animated as well. So in general, this is a good series, not a great or fantastic one. A lot better than a lot of people gave it credit for in the beginning. And with that brief talk out of the way, let's talk about Rumble Garendoll. So yeah, let's talk about Rumble Garendoll. This is produced by Studio Lurch and directed by Masami Ando, like a lot of Studio Lurch's works. So you generally know what the direction style is and a lot of other things, and it's just a lot of fun. So this is the tale of different people, but the main focus of Rumble Garendoll is named Hoshimichi, and he's a member of a host club. He has no real passion of his own, he's just in debt and a lot of other things. That kind of drives him to eventually joining Akibahari to drive or pilot the Garendoll. He has to fight against the forces of an alternate reality Japan called the True Army, and that was after that they won World War II to destroy all otaku passions. So the mecha is powered by a passion of young girls who each love different things, and they're called battery girls, which sounds really bad, but it's honestly a lot better than it is on paper. Rin is a pure and energetic girl that loves super robot shows after my own heart, and tries to see Hoshimichi as other characters or see the passion that he used to have in giant robot anime and other things. Yuki is a somewhat dirty idol who learns to be more honest with herself and sees Hoshimichi as the same kind of person, and she turns the mecha into a bunny. Last is Shy Misa, who knows Hoshimichi's story. Her ultimate mecha form is a cat under kotatsu and is the best mecha design ever. Don't at me. The show not only examines humanity itself through the otaku passions, but is a real examination of escapism and what that means to people and what it really shows and explores human consciousness. So it's really fun. It just explores humanity's core essence too in that way. And while it is a bit of a harem series, it also treats its characters with a lot of respect by giving each of them their time and personality away from Hoshimichi too. So each one plays a role in helping Hoshimichi find his passion too, and so is finally gaining a lot of lost experience that he used to have. And that creates, in the end, the ultimate super robot form that saves the day, because of course it does. So out of otaku passion, it is just an honest super robot show too. And it's just really good. I really like it. And with Lurch knows how to use his production values. It's very efficiently put together for what seems a lower budget. Compared to other mecha shows, at least, like AMAIM is kind of a larger project overall. So, has some really good mecha fights as well. It's a very good little put together mecha show that you should just watch. And with that, the final show, 86 Season 2. So, the unfinished 86 Season 2. This is produced by A1 Pictures, like the first core. It's based on the light novel by Asato Asato. So Season 2 is incredible, and honestly is so much better for me than Season 1 ever was. Even if this series is unfinished right now, with only 10 episodes right now, there's still a lot to talk about and how to see it was treated compared to the other one. It was less fillery, to me at least, and just felt more genuine and better experience. And also, episode 10 was a great finale, and the next 2 episodes are like an epilogue to me anyway. And I will happily wait for them into March and other things. Though I wish I could have waited longer to see the whole thing together, because there was a production mess, and it was hurt to see it broken in so many ways. Like, there was so many delays because the animators worked so hard, put everything together. It's kind of scary because it looks so good, and yet, this is the situation that we are in, and it's annoying. But even with that out of the way, the season focused on our band of 5, but mostly Shin, at the new country of the Confederacy of Giad. So I feel like Raiden, who's the second in command, gets a lot of focus too, but it's not as much as Shin, because Shin is the main character of the show. And also, Karuna, Anju, and Theo also get some development, but it's not a lot compared to everyone, but at least they feel like people. But of the journey of the story, the 5 of them are immediately criticized and pushed back to the side for being different from everyone else, because they're a different country, and they're still 86, so they still hate them for some reason. Well, I guess different is being enough. There was also still the war, and whether these 5 should go back to it or not. So, it's complicated, very interesting. I also like the lolly Princess Frederica. We get an emotional beat from her and Frederica's story about her former bodyguard. And it's like the main one of the entire catalog or entire season 2, because it ties together in the end in really emotional ways, so everything was worth it in the end. And it was a physical one with a giant centipede mecha versus smaller mecha, while also just being a very mental one as well. The idea of whether or not they are the same character or not, whether they can change from being a war fixated person or not. So that's a very cool mecha battle with mecha insects and a lot of strategic things, but the actual strategic maps doing something this season compared to the very chaotic first season, which I really liked. Also, character writing is just so good, and I just like it so much. Don't really have a lot of issues against it because I can't. So yeah, that's why the first season is not as good, because it doesn't have all those things as much. I could focus on 86, but yeah, a lot of those are automatically fodder that you kind of just expect to die. Even when it focuses on Shin and some other characters, like the rest of the 86 set, well, our Lena character is supposed to control, disappear. And that's really what the whole point is. So yeah, just watch 86. Just do it. And yeah, we're done with the mecha recaps now. So yeah, that was my brief overview of the mecha series that I watched last season. These are not every show that came out, but honestly, 4 was enough for me. And honestly, there's always more available to watch, and I think that's okay. So, thank you for listening to my rant today. Once again, my name is Scott, and I'm running this small podcast called Mechanical Anime Reviews Podcast. The very original title, considering that my blog is called Mechanical Anime Reviews. You can also follow me on Twitter at Mecha Anime Review. Once again, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next month, unless something major happens that stops it from occurring, but you never know. Let's just go with that, okay? That's enough for now, so bye.